Thank you for joining the Custodian's Break Room Podcast. I am your host, B. Marcel. That scream that you heard in the beginning is very symbolic in its meaning because it was a scream that I heard 50 years ago that helped me, made me lock up some information from a traumatizing event in a compartment never to be touched again. This is my cousin Terrell James. Some of you who know me personally may know some of the story. Those who are meeting me or watching for the first time, or getting to know me, I should say. This is my cousin. We were involved in a drowning incident over 50 years ago. I was 4, he was 5. We were playing in an abandoned pool. Green as I don't know what. We had no business playing there. My mom, who was caring for us at the time, was recovering from a brain aneurysm. Probably shouldn't have been caring for us, but this is the 70s. The neighborhood pretty much cared for everyone. It was no big deal at the time. But she wasn't in no condition to be caring for 2 rambunctious 4 and 5-year-old little boys. So anyway, forgive me. This is my first time doing a podcast. What I'm about to share is very hard for me, which is why I'm standing. There's no way I can sit through this. I'm going to share something that I've never shared before. Shout out to my aunt, Beverly. It was her little boy that was lost that day. Auntie, you've never made me feel any different, and I love you for that. I'm about to share something, though, that has been haunting me for 50 years. And what I thought was the problem had nothing to do with what I thought, if that makes sense. So, forgive me, but here we go. For 50 years after my cousin drowned, what haunted me was the fact that I couldn't remember how he got back in the water. We're playing patio furniture, we're grabbing it, we're putting it in the water, we're floating until it gets chest high. We get out, we're in the shallow end by the steps, so we get out, we get another chair. These are wooden tables, wooden chairs, old school. The people who lived at the house that moved, it's like they moved in a hurry. At 4 and 5, we don't know anything about moving and none of that. We just know when we looked over the wall, as my brother and I always did to go get our ball from playing catch, we just looked over the wall and, hey, there's this water and there's this patio furniture. Come on. So after a few rounds of floating and all the furniture is gone, we decide to get out. As we get out, somehow, my cousin ends up back in the water. Now, what has haunted me for 50 years is how he got back in the water. I remember everything about that day. I remember rolling the tire up to look over the fence to even go over. I remember everything. I remember the great effort from the police officer who was the first person on the scene. Most people think I hate the police because of the life I live and the movie I wrote. I have some vivid memories of some officers who went above and beyond. This in particular, this officer in particular, and I wish I had his name, this officer in particular, he rushed in. He asked me, hey, where's the last place you saw him? I walked him around to the deep end and told him, right there. And I watched him take off his badge, his gun belt, and his shoes, and I watched this man dive into that green, nasty, murky, tadpole frog, looked like an alligator living in there, and come up with my cousin. He gets him to the side. He's working on him, pushing the water out. My cousin made some noise. He was breathing. It's like, okay, he's going to be okay. Now, remember, I'm 4. I don't know. I'm watching him in the water. I see him from the shallow end, and I see him splashing. At 4, I'm thinking he's swimming. I remember when he get to the side where it looked like the deep end, he can just grab and get out. I remember smiling. Like, get out, Terrell. I said this. Get out, Terrell. And I remember smiling, thinking, okay, he's going to get out. He's right there. And when he went back down, he never came back up. I scaled that same wall that I used a tire to get over. I scaled that wall so fast to get to my mom so we can get my cousin out of this water. All these years, 50 years, I can never remember how he got back in that water. Did I bump him? Did I push him? What happened? That scream that I let out was symbolic of the scream that my aunt let out at the hospital when they told her her precious little boy would no longer be with us. That scream made me lock up a compartment for over 50 years. Not knowing how it affected my life. So fast forward, my father passed away last year. Dealing with that, I'm grieving. I decided to do a fast. And man, what God revealed to me during that fast, wow. The guilt that I've been carrying for 50 years had nothing to do with if I pushed him. Did he fall? Did I bump him? I have been carrying the guilt of my cousin's death because it was my decision to go over that wall. If I don't make that decision, he's still here. That scream that my aunt let out at that hospital, it locked all that information up. Never to talk about. In my family, we never talk about my cousin. I've never been able to properly grieve for my cousin. I've never been able to. I'm living for my cousin. Nothing because of that scream. I locked up everything in here. That led to a life of feeling undeserving, unworthy, I understand now that I was 4 years old, but I have had a 4-year-old locked in a compartment for 50 years. And God has told me to release it. That's why I started this podcast. Forgive me for being emotional. This is by far the most courageous thing that I've ever done. I've done a lot of bold, crazy, dumb things, but this is the most courageous thing that I've ever done. The custodian's break room, the name comes from because I'm a custodian. I've had some great conversations in the break rooms with great people. I've been in the cleaning industry for over 30 years. Never liked none of it, but I've been in the industry for over 30 years. Now, I understand why, though. See, because when you carrying survivor's guilt, childhood trauma, PTSD, whenever you carrying any of that baggage, on the outside, you look like you're doing well. Look at my office. I've done a lot of stuff. I've won a lot. I'm an award-winning filmmaker. I've interviewed with film festivals all over the world. My film was nominated for an NAACP Image Award. I was a nominee invited and didn't even attend. And I'm going to tell you why. So let me tell you why it's called the custodian's break room. Okay? Let me give you, hold on to your seats, because I'm going to walk you through how carrying that childhood trauma, that baggage, all the hurt, all the pain, carrying it with you, and although it looked like you can do it well, I've been doing it well, I've been miserable inside for 50 years. My trauma has displayed itself in all areas of my life without me even knowing. So let me tell you another little story about being a custodian. My dad started a janitorial business in the early 90s. He retired from UCLA at 50, 51. If you know my dad, that's way too early for him. So he started a janitorial service, and man, we got going. Him, myself, my mom, brothers, sisters, we were going. Right? But Pops is old school. Pops don't believe in growth. Pops believe in, hey, we're going to do every building arts myself. I'm going to touch everyone's like, Dad, hold on, that's too much work. But you got to know my Pops. So anyway, I took what my dad gave me after some years, and I went to work for a major hospital and became an EVS attendant. For one, I had kids and I needed benefits, and for two, I was just trying to get away from Pops. So once I get into the EVS, I'm doing my thing. But something else bothered me. I couldn't take working around what I considered then, because I was in my 20s at 27, I couldn't take working around all these older people, 40s, which I thought was so old, and 50, but now I'm 55, and we young. But nobody wanted to grow, nobody wanted to do nothing, everybody was nosy, everybody was nagging in your business and telling this. It's like, man, I got to get out of here. So I figured out what else I can do. I taught myself how to type, right? I took typing in high school, and those of you that went to Duarte High and had Miss Scott in our typing classes, y'all know F single space. F single space. Miss Garcia, cut the power off. Cut the power off. Stop typing. Stop typing. Y'all remember that. You know you do because I had classes with some of y'all. But that gave me the base. So I'm working in the EVS, right? Bam, I get hurt. They put me on light duty. I'm working in the ER department. I speak with the ER director. They really don't have anything for me to do. So I told her what I wanted to do. I wanted to learn how to type so I can transfer into the pharmacy. To be a pharmacy assistant, I don't know how it is now. That was 28 years ago. But to be a pharmacy assistant back then, all you had to do was have 1 year of experience in working in healthcare, which being an EVS attendant gave me, and be able to type 35 words a minute. So I beat them keys until I learned how to type 35 words a minute. Once I accumulated that score that I needed, bam, I transferred into an outside clinic pharmacy. I went from wearing my blue EVS scrubs to now I am dressed in my own clothes with a white lab coat. Yeah, I am the man now. No more cleaning up. I'm above that. I'm too good for that. I'm better than that. All that. But I didn't know I was suffering from survivor's guilt. And when you're suffering from childhood trauma and things like that, you pick up traits and you learn how to do things to protect that trauma. And one of my things that I picked up was a very, very negative trait. I became a sabotager. Anytime anything was good, I got uncomfortable because I didn't deserve it. I felt like I'm not worthy because you know what you did to your cousin. You know what you did. You'll never have nothing good. These are the voices that play over and over and over and over and over in my mind. Now, there were other things after the drowning incident that you're going to learn that help cement this feeling of feeling unworthy, undeserving of anything good. You know, you're going to see in the next episode or two a conversation between me and my brother. You know, my brother, people don't know, and I love him and I don't blame him, I don't hate him for it. Let's get that straight. But my brother was a great athlete, and I looked up to him, and I wanted to emulate him any way I can. But what you guys don't know is my brother used to beat me up and spit down my throat. Down my throat. If that's not telling me that I don't deserve anything, what else? Right? I battle back though. I played sports at a high level. Had plans on playing pro baseball. My world was going to be different. And boom, my sophomore year, it gets snatched from me. Injury. If that's not cementing that I'm not worthy, I will never have anything good because you know what you did. But I battle back one more time. I'm battling. My parents decided it was best that they moved me an hour away from where I grew up with all my friends and all my peers. My whole 16 and a half years of existence moved me an hour away to end of my junior year to where I currently reside now and didn't know anybody but my cousin Sally. Love you, Sally. That was the final blow. I took that as the voices in my head is right. I'm never going to have anything. I'm unworthy. I don't deserve it. These voices echoing, 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 echoing. So, I gave up. Right? So, anyway, I said that to say I became a master sabotager, a master manipulator. I got to manipulate every situation so I can protect the 4-year-old child that's in me that's hurting, that nobody knew about. Nobody could help me. It wasn't the days back then for therapy and counseling. It was shut up, get your butt on, you're going to be all right, move on. I didn't know. My parents didn't know. Nobody knew. But it was something in me that was empty, hollow, and it hurt for 50 years. So anyway, back to my story of being a custodian. Now I didn't move my way into the pharmacy. Now I didn't cleaned up in the industrial sector with my parents, in the warehouses, cleaned them nasty bathrooms and things. I've cleaned up in a major hospital, amputated body parts, brain matter after, so I done cleaned it all. Never doing that again. I'm in the pharmacy, bro. I'm cool. Go to one of my buddy's barbershops. Now remember, this is late 90s, 99. I used to go to my buddy's barbershop, but I'd be in my blue EVS attendant clothes. Now, I hadn't been there for a minute, a couple months, because I was injured. Now I'm stepping in. My own clothes, white lab coat. I'm in the game now. My boy like, man, looking at my badge, man, you work in the pharmacy? Yeah. He like, bro, can you get some Viagra? You know, I'm always gonna be a hustler. That's, you know, we come from that cloth. That's just what it is. Of course, that's nothing, bro. What was that? He gave me $100. He said, man, bring me 10. Say less. Bro, I can get him about a 100 count bottle. I'll sell them to you for $5 a pill. $500 a bottle. Bet. Boom. I'm on. Now, of course, you know, that turned into getting Soma and Vicodin and Valium and whatever else I can get my hands on, because it's going to sell them in the barbershop. Now I'm rolling, right? I didn't got so good, I didn't even learn how to get money out the place, right? I'm doing my thing. One day, real humbling story, right? One day, our supervisor, I'll leave her nameless. I'm not even sure if she's still around, but I'll leave her nameless, that in the hospital. But one day, she gathers up all us employees on a Friday, right before everybody was able to leave for the day. She says they're going to start a new shift on Monday, a later shift. Somebody's going to come in from 9:30 to 6 because they want to cut out on the overtime. Marcel, you're first. Okay, no problem. See y'all Monday at 9:30, right? That Monday comes. I come into work. First thing I do is get me some money out of my little drawer, because we start off with a $75 drawer. I'm going to put 50 in my pocket off the top, because that's just how I operated. I'm a sabotager. I'm a manipulator. I know how to make it look like what it ain't. Right? I'm doing my thing, working, got my pills, got everything I need for the day. We closing down. Everybody's gone. It's just the supervisor. She's in her office doing her whatever her thing is for the end of the day. I'm counting out my drawer, matching my register tape to my money, and say I need 2,350 cents. I might put 2,200 and something, just make it $1 short, right? But I help more customers than anybody in there. I'm a great employee, so you think, because I know how to make it look like what it ain't. Right? Smooth talker. I'm very quick. I'm intelligent. I like to think I'm intelligent. I had some bad characteristics about me, some bad traits. I had some bad habits. I was a sabotager. So, anyway, I'm doing my thing, count my drawer out. Next thing you know, I hear some keys. In walks the director of pharmacies. What is he doing here? He beeline straight to me. Hey, Marcel, how you doing? Any extras today? See how big that hand look on the screen? His hand looked like it was 10 times bigger than this, and his arm looked like he was reaching me from the 210 from DeWardy to Pasadena. My heart jumped, but I'm calm, cool, and collected. Not today. I wish. And he, oh, okay, yeah, have a good night. And he goes to the office. So now, I'm thinking, they own me. First day, first shift, he shows up. They own me. So now I'm waiting for my union rep. You can't come approach me and accuse me of anything without having my union rep there to defend me. So now I'm on the race against the clock. I'm trying to get my stuff done so I can get up out of here, right? Now at the same time, I got a pocket full of money and a pocket full of pills, so I can't go too fast because them pills, when you walk, so I got to be quiet because now I got 2 sets of ears in this office and the door is going right by the office. So now I got 2 sets of ears listening. I got to be extra quiet. And I'm rushing because I got to beat this union rep. If he's coming, I get outside this door, I'm not coming back tomorrow, right? If he come, I know, you got me. Okay. So anyway, I boom, put my drawer up, okay? All right, guys, see you later. Have a good night. And I'm walking gingerly and slow because I can't have these pills shake, right? And they, good night, Marcel. And I get out the door and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Bam. So the next day, right? I'm knowing they own me. Kind of smart. I'm dumb, but I'm smart. All right? I'm knowing they own me. So, next day come, we doing the work. I'm keeping everything clean today because I got an exit strategy. I know how to sabotage the situation and manipulate it to my advantage, so I thought, right? But at that time, yeah, I was manipulating it to my advantage, sabotaging the whole thing, right? So, next day, bam, I'm working. We have a typing schedule. Everybody takes an hour at a time to input the prescriptions into the system so the pharmacy tech can fill them, and then they go around to the pharmacist so they can sign, count them, verify them, and then they package them, and then us as pharmacy assistants, we sell them to the customers, right? So, I ain't gonna say her name, but she comes like, hey, Marcel, it's your time to type. Can you type, please? No problem. So I go get on the high chair, right? Type a few. I see these little fat Sharpie markers, right? We had them big markers. I take one, put it to the ground, typing. We're getting busy. I'm watching the crowd. We're getting busy. I know she's getting ready to come get me in a minute. Sure enough, Marcel, can you go help sell, please? Yes, ma'am. So that marker I dropped on the ground on purpose, when I turn around to go step down, that marker slipped out from under my foot, and when I fell, I probably should have got an Emmy award for my performance, because when I fell, my Lord, I pulled down everything, and I had a bunch of witnesses, the pharmacy techs, the pharmacists themselves, the other pharmacy assistants, the whole crowd of people that were serving, people sitting in the waiting room waiting to see the doctor on the other side, the receptionists and secretaries on the other side, even the security guard. Everybody saw me when I fell. Oh, Marcel, you okay? So that old injury that stopped me from playing sports back in the day, the old trick knee as I call it, it always has something wrong with it. Oh, I didn't tear my knee up. I'm off for 2 years. Right? Sued them. Got paid. They retrained me. All that. I even went to Europe while I was off work. Right? Retrained. Did all that. Of course, separated from the company, which goes full circle. I'm back to cleaning up. I've been a custodian for the past 10 years. Everything that I try to get away from, I always try to get away from it. I'm right back cleaning up. behind kids. Now, I done cleaned up in the industrial sector. I done cleaned up in the healthcare. Now I'm cleaning up in the school district. Here's the most humbling and humiliating part. My parents, they got sick. I work as a custodian at a school right around the corner from that same clinic where the pharmacy is. And I had to go in that pharmacy once or twice, maybe 3 times a month to get my parents' prescriptions. Do you know how humiliating that is? To step back up in that place and to know I would have almost 30 years of employment, probably ready to almost retire, to be 28 years I would have in there. But yet I'm in here in my custodian cleanup clothes. I'm looking at all the safety measures they didn't changed up. I know I had a whole bunch to do that because I exploited every loophole they had. But the biggest loophole I exploited was right here. Right here. I asked a question the other day on one of my pages. What do you think the biggest mess that I ever had to clean up? And I got a lot of great answers. But none was the right answer. The biggest mess that I ever had to clean up was my life. See, I didn't know that I was suffering from survivor's guilt or PTSD. I didn't know. But I knew it was something wrong with me because I couldn't get out of my own way. You see these things. Looks like I'm thriving, which I am. But there's more to me. And I'm showing this podcast, me doing this right here, talking to you right now, is showing me. I'm not doing this for nobody else. I want to help people release their pain and trauma. But I'm starting with me first. And I'm opening up a safe space to have conversations of healing, transformation, help, harmony. When my father passed away, I had to go on a fast because I was broken. And I started tapping into the Holy Spirit. And that's when God revealed to me. He said, "Sir, you've been choosing to be a practical custodian. I needed you to be a custodian of your life. I want you to clean up your life so you can help others clean up theirs." He started just revealing my life to me. I started finding my life through scripture. When he says he knew you before you were born, I'm able to put that to scripture. Man said I was supposed to be born July 30th. God brought me in June 30th. And yeah, premature. Everybody has preemie babies. But here's the thing. I'm quite sure most of you who do know me personally didn't know that my name, Marcel, comes from a white doctor from UCLA. His name was Marcel Albert Baluta. Look it up. I happened to be born on his birthday. That man was responsible for my dad going from City of Hope with him to UCLA where he was able to retire. I grew up on the UCLA campus. That's why I'm a UCLA guy. But that let me know that the scripture is true. I wasn't born by accident. My brother spitting down my throat, I love him for that. He only was doing what God told him to do. I can't wait for you guys to see our episode where I'm able to ask him these questions and why and understand the pressure and the things that he was under. See, we spend a lot of time in our own hurt that we don't even go outside to understand. I promise you, if you have the courage to battle your childhood trauma, your past hurts, I challenge you to walk through that pain one more time with God on your side. He's going to reveal a beautiful story to you. I promise. The house that I own right now, my first and only house that I've ever owned, I never even wanted to be here. I bought my parents' house after they passed away. God made a way. So that's why it's called the Custodian's Break Room. I'm the host, B. Marcel. You know why I call myself B. Marcel? It's a reminder to myself to be Marcel. People love you. I'm thankful to my team on the movie, Raul, Ty, shout out to you guys. Because if it had been up to me, it never would have got done. My friends, Q, Eula Berry, a bunch of others, all of you who have told me, man, I like all your ideas. Man, you just need to stick with one. My wife, just stick with one. I finally learned why I couldn't. I've been afraid to make big decisions because the biggest decision I ever made thus far that I couldn't let go of as a 4-year-old child, it was my decision to go over that fence. My cousin drowned as a result of it. But I've been blessed to release this to the world. I don't care what nobody think. I don't care what nobody say. Because one thing I know is God got me. And I'm looking for anybody with a redemption story, a fight against struggle, a comeback. I'm looking for you. I want to bring you on. I want to have a conversation with you. This is a safe space. The Custodian's Break Room is a safe space. And I invite all of you. Until next time, this is the Custodian's Break Room. I am your host, B. Marcel. Talk to you soon.